my YouTube friends.
Whoa, guys, I'm not the burnt peanut, but I'm built just like him. And if you want to see how you can create an avatar just like me for free, this is the video for you. So you know what? Let's get to it. This one needs a little bit of a disclaimer. This is a complex process and there are lots of steps. If you are the type of viewer that can't watch video longer than 30 seconds and actually pay attention, you're probably gonna never get this to work. It's best for you to grab the software and follow along with Michael step by step. Each step builds on the next step, and if you miss a tiny thing, you could spend hours trying to figure out what went wrong. Now Michael is gonna introduce you to the process so that you can use any 3D model to build your character. Now I know lots of YouTubers tell you to watch till the end and blah blah blah. But in this case, if you don't, it's unlikely you'll ever get an avatar like me on your screen looking so damn sweet. The links for everything that you're gonna need are in the description. Let's do this.
All right, we're gonna start out here on SketchFab. Now make sure that I link SketchFab down below in the description so you can easily get there and find the models that you're looking for. And I just want to be super clear. I'm going to use a peanut, but it doesn't really matter what you use as your model for this, because the true reason why the burnt peanut is so successful is because he manages to make his peanut so ridiculously expressive that it's fun to watch. But not only that, he's just really good. So you can expect the same results from any model. He could be using a pickle or a dinosaur. I don't really think it matters. What matters is that he spent the time to make sure that his model was ridiculously expressive, and then he's very good at his bit, his shtick. And so I'm gonna use the same model so that you understand how this all works, but the reality is that you could basically search for anything. You could do a strip of bacon or a pickle or a ham sandwich. Any of those things would work just as well as long as you've got the rest of it all put together. So I'm just gonna go up here in search 3D models and put peanut in, and there are a whole bunch here. You could just find whatever you want. I like this one right here, and the reason why I like this one is because it actually comes native for Blender. Some of these will be other formats, but any format that will work in Blender is a format that you can use. So we can move this model around so you can kind of get an idea of what it looks like, and it looks like a peanut. So all we have to do here is go ahead and download this model. Now a lot of these models have different styles of licensing and all that stuff, so you just want to look at the license and learn more. Make sure that you have all the information that you need so that you know whether you can actually use the model for what you want to do. So just be good to the people who created these models, but a lot of them are free, so it's just a matter of searching through here until you find the model that's going to work for you and give you what you want. And then I just download the 3D model. You do have to sign up for SketchFab in order to do that, but once you do, what we get is a zip file right here in our download folders. So I'm going to right click on our zip file and extract all, and boom. So now we have our peanut. If we go in here, we've got the source, which has the blend for Blender, and we have the textures, which are what makes it look like a peanut. It's a really super simple model. What I'm going to do is go ahead and just copy this, and I'm going to put it on my desktop just to make this easy. So boom, now we've got this right here on our desktop.
Now we're gonna kick it up a notch and take this project to Blender. Blender is the 3D modeling and animation studio. Links are in the description. Sweet!
All right, so here we are in Blender. Now, Blender is incredibly detailed and confusing. You're definitely gonna get lost one or two times. You gotta stick with it. And if you continue to have problems in Blender, I highly recommend you take a couple tutorials just on Blender alone. It will really help you out. I'm going to walk through this as best I can and not overcomplicate anything so that you can get through this and at least have a general understanding of how you set these up. What we're gonna do is go ahead and delete this, and we're just gonna go up to File, you're probably going to get either a Blender file, you might get a Wavefront OBJ file, you might find that you have an FBX file. There are all kinds of different files that you can work with in Blender. So don't worry, don't be afraid of that. It's just fine. We're gonna do the simplest one, of course, and it's just a file that opens in Blender because we managed to find one. And so all we have to do is go and find the file where we saved it. In our case, we saved it in our desktop, and it is in the Peanut folder, and it should be under source, and there it is, Peanut Blend. We're just gonna open it, and you can see it's a fairly normal looking file. Now, it doesn't have the skin texture, which is right here. It's not applied to the model just yet. So if we hit the Z key, we can select some different rendering options, and we'll just select this material preview, and you can see it's just this white skin. So over here on the right, you wanna go to this world right here with your model selected, and we're gonna go ahead and click here, and we're gonna go to image texture, and then we're gonna click open, and we're just gonna go find any image texture that came with your model. In my case, there's just one, it's this one. Now we do have ambient occlusion and a bump map, which will add a lot of texture to it, but they're not really usable in the program that we're gonna be setting this up in. So just one is all you need. Now, if you have an OBJ file or an FBX file, some of those may have separate panels or something, and you may have to select each panel and then add the surface to each panel. But for the most part, this is probably what you're gonna run into. So now we have our peanut texture. The next thing I want you to do is go up here under collections and find your model. Mine is named cylinder, and under cylinder you can see we just have the cylinder and the material. The material is just the skin here. You may have a bunch of other things in here, but this is all that you need. So you're gonna wanna delete it, and you can go down here and kind of take a look at what you might have. Like if you have any modifiers, delete them. When you come down here, if you have any vertex group or shape keys or anything like that, you just wanna delete them. We don't need any of that stuff because we're going to try to create the model in the simplest way. So if you have any of those things, just go ahead and delete them and you'll be good to go. Now, in this particular case, our model has the world origin set in the center, and I want it set to the actual world origin. So what I'm going to do is go down here, and we're going to go to set origin, and we're going to set it to the 3D cursor, which is at the bottom, which is that right there. So now it's at the very bottom. The next thing I want to do is find the -Y, because this is the face that faces the camera in the application that we're going to use. And so I want to make sure that my peanut is facing the proper direction. In this case, it's not. So I'm going to go up, and on the Z axis, I'm going to rotate it -90, and boom. So that's going to be the face of my peanut right there. So we're almost set. All we need to do is add our bones. We're going to have a bone for the body and a bone for the head so that the head will rotate and move the skin and all that kind of stuff. We want our head bone to be the first bone, the basis bone. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to hit the Z key, so we're overhead, and then I'm going to grab my cursor. So I'm going to select this, and I'm just going to put the cursor up here. Right now we can see the cursor, but it's all the way at the bottom, and we just want it up here. So I'm just going to click, and it's now going to put it on top of our mesh. You can see it's right there. And then I'm going to go back to our Y right there. Okay, so now we're going to go to add, and we're going to add an armature, and you can see, boom, it's sticking up there. The first thing you're going to want to do is go over here to the little running man, and you're going to want to go down here to viewport display, and you want to click in front. Let me show you why. I'm going to select my bone here, and I'm going to click the R key, and we're just going to rotate it down. And you can see now I can't actually see it because it's inside of our peanut. So if I hit in front, boom, there it is. So now I'm just going to rotate it again, and then I'm going to scale it. So I just click S, and then I grab it and scale it so it's right in the center. Now we want to rotate it. We want to make sure that it's going down the center of our peanut or whatever model you're using. And you can see now we don't really care where our cursor is because we just wanted our bone to start at the cursor. So now that it's started, we could just send our cursor back to the world origin. So what we're going to do is we're going to go in here into object. We're going to go to snap, and then we're going to go cursor to world origin. It'll just put it down there, and then we're going to change this to select box. So now we don't have to worry about clicking and moving our cursor. The next thing we're going to do is click the tab, and this is going to put us in edit mode. You can also come down here and click edit mode, and that'll put you in edit mode. And then we want to have this selected right here, and then we're going to click the E key, and we're going to extrude another bone down. Now for this, once I hit the E and I'm stretching it, I'm going to hit Z. It'll put it so it's on that Z axis going straight down, and I'm just going to put it down there and then click the button again, again, and boom. So now we've got our bone, and what I can do is I can grab this end and I can move it around if I want. Like that, right? So right there. And if we just rotate it around, kind of want to make sure it's straight. All right, so now we have our bones. We can get out of edit mode by clicking tab. You'll see this changes from edit to object. Or we could just go in here and go to object mode. And then what we want to do is go up here, and you can see we've got our armature and our cylinder. And we want to parent our cylinder to our bones, to our armature. So we're going to select armature, and then we're going to hold the shift key and select the cylinder. Yours might be called something other than cylinder. This is just your mesh. It's my peanut. So now when they're both selected, you could see this is highlighted and this is highlighted, both in slightly different colors. We're going to hit Control P, and we're going to go down here, and we're going to use automatic weights. Boom. So if this worked properly, your model should now be done. And you're going to know this by selecting your bones, and then you're going to go down here and you're going to go to pose mode, and you'll select this bone down here, and you could just click G and it should move everything, right? So what happens if it doesn't move everything? Well, that can happen. We're going to go over here and select our cylinder, and you can see we have two bones in here. Bone 1, which is our head, and bone 2, which is our body. And we can actually go ahead and name these properly. Down here in our armature, we could go into bone and bone 01, and we could just double click here, and we can call this head, and double click here, call this body. That way we don't get confused with anything, right? So let's say that you test your armature in pose mode and it doesn't move. All right, well, we're going to go back to object mode here and tab to go to edit mode. And what we're going to do is we're going to select our peanut, and we're going to go down here, and we're going to go into weight paint. Now, I know this looks mega confusing. Right now in our weight paint, we have head selected. And what that means is the red part is the parts that the head bone is going to move. And then you can see it transitioning down here to the blue parts where it's not going to move the body bone. If your weight painting automatically didn't work, then this is probably all blue, and it's in 3D, so you got to remember it's all the way around. So what do you do if it's all blue? Well, you select your head, and we want the tops to be red, so we're going to right click on here, and we can select our weight. So we want, you know, the 1 is 100%, and we could change the size. So let's just go ahead and make this all blue, right? Because this is what you might find if it didn't automatically paint your head. And you could find the same thing, obviously, in body, if it didn't automatically paint your body. So let's just pretend that it didn't, and then I'll show you how to weight paint just in case you have to. Because this is one of the things that could happen if you're not using a blend file, but you're using an FBX or something like that. So now, there are 0 weights on this entire model for both the head and the body, meaning the bones won't do anything. And what we're gonna do is we're gonna grab our head, right? And so for head, we need to move the head, obviously, which is the top part. So what we're gonna do is right click, and we're gonna set the weight to 100%, and then we're gonna go up here, and we are going to paint red on the entire top and just a little bit down this way, right? And we'll rotate it around, and there we go. So now we got our head fully painted. Now we can select our body, and we're just going to do the opposite. And so now we've got the head and body painted, and you can see we probably have a little bit too much separation there, so we need to come down quite a bit here because they should be overlapping. Just going to make sure that belt line is where our demarcation line is. And there we go. So that looks pretty good. So now we have it weight painted. So if we go back into our object mode and we select our armature and we go down here to pose mode, when we select this bottom bone and we go to rotate, there we go, we get the wiggle. So if you have to weight paint, now you understand how to do it. Pretty easy stuff. Now we're all set. So what we're gonna do is go over here and we're gonna select this very bottom, and we're gonna go all the way up and select all the way up to our model at the top, and just make sure everything is highlighted in blue and selected. We're gonna go to File, and then we are going to go to Export, and we're going to select FBX. Then in here we're gonna add selected objects, visible objects, armature, hold down the shift key, and mesh. Then down here, we want to apply the transforms. In geometry, you just want to make sure that apply modifiers is checked. And then in Armature, we want to make sure that add leaf bones is unchecked, and we want to uncheck the animation. And then we can export our FBX. We just have to name it and tell it where we want it to be. So we're going to export that, and we're done in Blender. Now you might want to go up here and just save it as a regular blend file so you don't have to play all those games later on. And there we go. So now it's saved.
The next step takes us to Lens Studio. This is where we take our model and make it talk and move. Links are in the description.
All right, this is Lens Studio, and it's once again totally free. I'll walk you through, so don't be worried. We're gonna go ahead and close this down. We're gonna close this down. We're gonna select here and select our camera, and boom. There's my camera. I'm gonna go ahead and just drag this down here. It allows us to get a little bit of a bigger camera shot, right? And then I'm gonna go ahead and click the plus right here, go to import asset, and I'm gonna just go ahead and find that FBX file that we just saved out and click open and accept. Then I'm gonna go up here, I'm gonna click the plus, I'm gonna go to face, and I'm going to select head binding. We don't need the face occluder right here, so we can go ahead and just delete that. All we need is the head binding. So we're gonna come down here to our peanut, and we're going to grab this right here and just drag it up under head binding. And wow, it's bound, but it's way too big. So we're gonna go ahead and adjust our scale. Just make sure peanut is selected and adjust your scale. Let's try 0.1. Now the first thing you wanna do before you start adjusting your scale is adjust it on all axes, which means you have to put this little lock here. And then we're gonna try 0.15, and we're closer. Let's try 0.1 for now, and there we go. And then what we're gonna do is zoom in here a little bit. I'm gonna go ahead and select this, and then we can move it down where we want it. And then I think what I'm gonna do is make it 1.3. There we go, and move it down. And then we're gonna rotate this because you see where our face is supposed to be, and I just wanna put where I want my peanut face to be, right in there. And if you lose the thing, just reselect peanut, and there we go. So now, you know, you can see our nut's moving, it's attached to our face, it's doing that stuff. So we're in pretty good shape. If we come around here, we'll take a look at the front. And if you don't want to see your bone, that's not a problem. Just expand this and expand the armature, and then just uncheck the head bone, and boom, it disappears. So the next thing we're gonna do is click the plus right here. We're gonna go to face, and then we're gonna select this face inset, and we're gonna name the face inset mouth, boom. And so now we have a mouth, and what we could do is go over here, and you could see it, but it's inside our peanut head. So we're gonna move it out. When you look at it, it's like, oh, that doesn't look right. So you come up here, make sure mouth is selected. You come over here, you go to screen texture, and you want device camera texture, and click OK. And now we've got a mouth. But I hate how blurry that looks. It just really annoys me. So we've got these boundary areas that we can really modify and mess with. So I usually turn this all the way down, and I turn this down, and now we get a really sharp looking mouth. All right, and so the next thing that I want to do is go ahead and line it up. If we rotate around it like this, you could see the mouth. So we want to push it up against our head, and you know, maybe we don't want it up that high. In fact, I don't think I want it up that high. So I'm gonna push it down a little bit, and we'll push it in until it starts to disappear there. And then what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna come around the side, and I'm gonna select this rotate button right here. And we're gonna find this red rotator, and we're gonna kind of make it parallel with the outside. Select this, come around the front and see what it looks like, and we'll move it out just so it's just outside. And there we go. That looks pretty good. And you can see, that's what you're looking for. You're looking for that to look clean and good. All right, and then I'm gonna right click on mouth and duplicate it, and then I'm gonna double click here, and I'm gonna call this left eye, and you can see it like gives you this thing over here, which is almost totally useless. So I'm gonna turn the 2D scene off and make sure left eye is selected, and we're gonna come down here, and instead of face region mouth, we're gonna select left eye. And the thing is it kind of trick you here because it's not really the left eye, it's actually your right eye, but as far as it's concerned, it's on the left side of the screen. So I guess that's how it's figuring it. And we're gonna put this where we want our left eye to be. So we'll go up a little higher, and then I'm gonna go ahead and rotate it to make sure that it's contouring properly to the surface. And then I'm gonna go ahead and just pop it out a little bit. We'll rotate around and we can see the whole eye. So for now, we're gonna leave it there. We're gonna come over here to left eye, and we are going to duplicate it. Now, you know, I'm just doing this to show you how it's done. You guys should spend as much time as necessary to have all this stuff placed exactly where you want it, because this is how you make your guy particularly expressive and make him look good. So now we've got our right eye. We could select that, and we got to go over here to face region, select right eye, and then we can just drag this puppy over here. And we want to just look and see if it's where it's supposed to be. We can actually maybe rotate it a little bit, come up over top, and we will grab our rotational key and maybe rotate it this way a little bit. You know, all this stuff just makes it that much better. Now we're all set. We just got to fix this body thing, you know? We don't want our body just kind of hanging out, and, you know, either it should be stationary or something, but it shouldn't be doing whatever it's doing now. So to fix this, we need a quick script. So we're going to click the plus here, and we're going to go to scripting, and we need a JavaScript file. And I'm just going to name this Wobble. I don't know why, because I like Wobble. I'm going to double click it. It's going to bring up a script. Now there's going to be a script in the description down below that you can just grab and place right in here. Now I don't even know where I got this script. I've been playing around with this whole process for a pretty long time, trying to make it easy enough for you guys to follow. But some awesome person out there in the helper sphere created this script. And we're just going to paste it in here. And here's where we run into weird issues, because I don't really know that much about Lens Studio. So I'm going to go up here and click File and Save. And I'm going to call this Peanut. And then I'm just going to save this right here, right? And then I'm going to go to File, and I'm going to go to Open Project. And we're going to discard. And I'm just going to open up this Peanut file right here. We just saved. And yes, and discard. And there we go. So it reopens everything. But why we want to do that is because now our Wobble file is totally in here and doing what it's supposed to do. Before, for whatever reason, you just, you know, it doesn't work right. So now what we want to do is take a look at our armature real quick. So we have a couple of bones in here, just like we did in the other one. We are going to select our body bone. We're going to go to add component. We're going to go to general, and we want to select our wobble. And then we need to choose our object. And in this case, we're going to choose our head bind and click OK. And you can see now it moves with us wherever we want, you know? It's not really what we're looking for. So what we're going to do is we're going to grab this body part right here. I think we're going to have to uncheck it. We're going to grab the body, and we're just going to drag it up under effects, right? And ooh, that got weird. That got weird, but you can see the end result is the body stays stationary while our head moves. It's just kind of stretched out and weird. So what we're going to do is we're going to make sure body's selected, and we're going to come back in here, and we're just going to drag this back to where it's actually supposed to be. And it's going to take you a little bit of effort to mess around and make sure that it looks right. And don't worry about right now, make sure body's selected. Don't worry right now about what it looks like here, because it seems like these two operate on completely different planes. But just make sure that we get this back to the way that it's supposed to be. And I think that's pretty much the way it's supposed to be. Now we want to fix our little guy over here. And to do that, it's going to take a little bit of trial and error, and we're going to use the offset. So this offset will move his little bottom forwards and backwards. And this offset, let's try this one here. When we move it 50, boom, it moves that up. So that's the exact opposite of what we want. So let's try minus 50, and boom, it stretches it down. All right, so we're moving in the right direction. Let's try minus 10. All right, we're getting close. Maybe minus 5. All right, I think that's workable. Now we want to move this back a little bit. So I'm gonna try, let's try 10 over here and see what that looks like. That's not what we want. So let's try minus 10 over here. And that still looks too far out. So let's try minus 20. And you can see now it's doing weird stuff. So we want to go minus 10 here. So it pulls it down. And then we're gonna go minus 30 here, push it back a little farther. And now you can see that kind of looks a little bit too small. So it says our scale here is 25. We're gonna try 28. Let's try 30. This is all trial and error. You just wanna get this back to where it looks like what it's supposed to look like. And we're gonna go minus 50 on this. Let's try minus 10 again. All right, that actually looks pretty close to what we want. Now the smooth speed has to do with how fast your little guy will move with you. So if we put this at 1, you could see that he just moves with me. and we'll still be able to turn our head, but there's no delay. And so I think like 0.5 or 0.2 are kind of like the sweet spot here. So this is what 0.5 looks like. All right, so and just keep in mind that all this tweaking stuff that we do, the offset and everything, just keep tweaking until you get it right, until it looks like how you want it to look. Because at the end of the day, it's all that matters, right? We want it to be expressive and we want it to look good. So now we have everything we need. What we could do is go up here in Camera Object, and we're gonna go to Clear Color option. We're gonna drop this down and we're gonna select color. And we're gonna come in here and we're gonna change our green here to 255. Click OK, and boom, now we've got our little guy, right? And so we can break him out. We can put him wherever we want. I would definitely go up here, go to File, save it out one more time, and then we can basically set our guy up anywhere we want. And it's now time to bring us into OBS. All right, so here we are in OBS. We're in our profile. This could be a game. It could be anything. Doesn't really matter. But we want our peanut guy in here, so we're gonna click this plus button, and we're gonna go to window capture. And we're just gonna call this peanut and click OK. And then we're gonna drop this down and we're gonna select the Lens Studio. And we're gonna select Windows Must Match and click OK. And you can see, oh, what happened here? It's not in there. Well, let's go over to our Lens Studio. We gotta dock this puppy up here. And then what we can start to do is just close out the other windows around it, you know? If we do that, it'll give us a lot more room for our guy. And that's what we want. You can open those windows again. It's not a problem. But for now, it's good to have them closed. Then we can go back over here and look at our guy. There he is. All we have to do now is right click here, go to filters, and we're gonna click the plus, and we're gonna go to Chroma key, click OK, boom, now it's chromed out. We'll click close, and all we have to do now is hold down the Alt key and crop out the rest of the screen. And the one downside to this, obviously, is that you have to have Lens Studio open. But Lens Studio, it's pretty basic. It doesn't really do anything. It's not gonna hurt you. You're gonna be able to play games. And there we go. Now we've got it going on.
Now I'll bet a lot of you want to know how you add accessories like hats and gloves and glasses, and how you switch between those during the stream, or even how to have your audience switch between those with bits and super chats. Well, unfortunately, this video is already too long, but if you want to see me do another video on how to do those things, let me know about it down in the comments. And if you want to see a legit alternative to Snap Camera, check this video out. And if you're always looking for tools, tips, and tricks to help make you a better live streamer or YouTuber, subscribe to the channel. My name is Peanut Head Michael Fiver Jr. Thank you so much for watching. Have a great day, and I'll see you in the next one.